Virtual reality education, or VRE, has come to the London market in an IPO where the business has raised some 6 million sterling. It's another tech company using London as a launchpad to start its public profile. What's it do? Where's it going? And how does it make money? And of course, what's in it for investors? David Whelan is VR Education Holdings Chief, and he joins us now. David, welcome.
Good morning.
Congratulations on the listing. Explain exactly what it is you do.
So we're a virtual reality company, and we've built a corporate training and education platform called Engage, where any educator can teach any subject to anybody else in a virtual environment. And why even teach class in a classroom? So if you're teaching marine biology, why not teach that on the seabed and have a whale swim through the centre of the class? So it's a lot more engaging.
Yeah, I said you're listed in London, you're also listed in Ireland at the same time, aren't you? And of course, your Irish roots go a lot deeper than they do in London. But I understand you're bringing a big London office to the fore as well.
Yeah, so we're opening an office in Hammersmith, and we're going to put a lot of business development people in there as well, and some technical people in there as well.
So I imagine that answers part of the question as to what you're going to do with the 6 million.
Yeah, definitely. One of the key reasons why we wanted to list the company is we need to attract the best talent to the company, especially business developers. And listing a company, we can really attract this talent. We could have raised this money quite easily, and we had money on the table 6 months ago that we could have taken. But again, it was to attract the right type of talent to the company. And listing the company, we get that company profile that we need.
Yeah, I've had a look at your website, and on there, one of the highest profile experiences that you've got on the video is around the Apollo 11 mission, but also the Titanic as well. What are you aiming at in terms of the audience here?
So there's kind of two parts to the business. We have showcase experiences, which are Apollo 11 and Titanic, and they're really designed to attract people to the platform, and they really educate the current VR install base that, look, virtual reality can be used not just for games, it can also be used for educational purposes. And I think a lot of people, when they were growing up, if you asked them what did they want to be, a lot of people would have said astronaut, and it went on to be a global bestseller. We developed that product for €100,000. It's made over $1 million in revenue to date, and it continues to sell quite strongly. And then Titanic is going to come out later this year, where you witness the sinking from the point of view of a survivor in Lifeboat 6, and then you get to dive on the shipwreck.
Do you make any of the hardware, or is it just a software company or business?
No, it's just purely the software. We see that these headsets will become ubiquitous in the future. So the big barrier to VR and AR today is these headsets are quite expensive. So it's a $500 headset, and you need a laptop to run it, which is $1,000 to get a good experience. Now, Mark Zuckerberg stood on stage 3 months ago, and he announced the Oculus Go headset, where you don't need a high-end mobile phone, you don't need a computer. It's $200. It's an all-enclosed VR headset for $200. And he said he's going to put 1 billion people into virtual reality over the next 3 years. Even if he hits 25% of that number, that'll be 250 million users. It'll still be a very attractive market for us.
What's the history of the company as well? That's something else I think we ought to know about before we start talking about the investment potential. I mean, you're a rugby league, Irish rugby league player, aren't you, originally?
I was originally, but I also have a tech background. I had my own web development business back in Ireland, but when the recession hit, it hit pretty hard in the web development business. And when I put on virtual reality, I knew straight away that this was what I wanted to go into. And I started the business originally with a €1,000 loan from my sister less than 3 years ago to get early models for the early Apollo 11 prototype, which we then put on Kickstarter. So it's been really a rocket journey, excuse the pun, from then to where we are today, listing the company.
It's interesting actually talking about 3 years ago. I mean, looking at some of the technology that was around then, if you looked at some of the virtual reality stuff then, it was very poor. How much progress has been made on the technology itself?
It's a huge amount of progress. So the original Oculus Rift, it had an 800 pixel density inside the headset. Now you're getting 4K per eye pixel density, so you don't even notice the pixels anymore. And the computers as well, they've been getting more and more powerful every year, and they double in power every 2 years. It's been a huge change in the past 3 years, and people now can get a really good experience quite cheaply.
Okay, let's go back to the business model and how you're going to return investment potential for businesses and people buying into this. What is it that is your business model, and how are you intending to return money?
So the Engage platform, we have one platform. It's a corporate training and education platform, but there's two ways that we're going to market it. There's Engage Education and Engage Enterprise. Engage Education is for educators. It's free to use the platform, Any educator can upload their content and create content using the platform. But if they want to monetize their content, they could do that, and it's a revenue share model, which is a proven model on current MOOC platforms, massive open online course systems. And then Engage Enterprise, then if enterprise want to use it for simulated training, business meetings, it's your standard white labeling service and pay per play, kind of like GoToMeeting, that kind of standard model.
And your client base?
Currently working with Oxford University, the BBC, Royal College of Surgeons, New Haven University. These are really big tier institutes that have come to us. We've really cherry-picked who we've worked with in the past with very little marketing, but we're constantly getting requests in, and really now it's time to scale the business so we can handle all these requests.
You mentioned Oculus Rift. I mean, that's a very well-known, very high-profile company in the history of the development of all this. What are your competitors now in this field?
So direct competitors in the virtual reality and education space, there's very few, but Facebook bought Oculus, and they're building a virtual world where today you have a Facebook page, and you have Facebook friends, and you have Facebook gallery. Tomorrow you're going to have a Facebook virtual room where your friends and family can beam in and you can sit down and have a conversation with them, the same as we are now, yet we could be thousands of miles away. And our galleries are up in the wall. Our Engage platform has a lot of similar features, but what's the big differentiator is that we allow people to create content on our platform. So if you want to create a 40-minute lecture or presentation on Engage, you just have the headset and hand controllers, and you stand and you present as you would naturally, and then you could drop a dinosaur on the table if you want. Our platform will record everything that you do and say. It'll record your presentation. It will record any objects that you bring into the simulation. So a 40-minute lecture or presentation will only take 40 minutes to produce.
So you are inviting people to use your platform to then distribute content through the virtual reality experience?
Precisely. You can really think of it as we are kind of similar to a virtual reality PowerPoint, but instead of using clip art, you're using 3D virtual objects and simulations to create your own content, and then you can publish it on our platform.
So they pay you for that privilege of using your platform. Is that how you get the income from that particular sort of business?
Yeah, it would be for enterprise, but for educators who want to do distance learning programs, it would be free to use until they try and monetize their content.
And you're going to do more of these Apollo 11 and Titanic type videos yourself, are you, to?
Yeah, so every year we'll release a showcase experience, and we've won quite a lot of awards, and it really helps us attract the right type of developer to the company. So it's very hard to get developers to work in the company, especially if you're building a platform. Developers want a lot of recognition. You know, they want to work on projects that people know about. Apollo 11, it's won multiple awards. It's even won a Time Warner award. People have looked at it and said, I've really enjoyed that experience. What are you building next? I say, we're working on Titanic and the platform. So when they come work with us, they spend 50% of their time maybe working on Titanic, and then the rest of the time they'll be working on the platform.
So what are your revenues then like at the moment? Because clearly this sounds like it's going to cost quite a lot of money to get all these things up and running. What are your revenues as at this point? So,
as I was saying, Apollo 11 only cost €100,000 to develop, and then we made over $1 million in revenue to date, and still selling very strongly. Last year's revenues were $650,000. This year we're looking to go to 1.7 million.
Okay, let's increase the number of targets we're looking for as we go out from this point. Where do you see yourself in 2-3 years' time, and what are you hoping for in terms of income and revenue?
So we really feel a platform like Engage is a disruptor to all online education platforms. Very few people finish online courses. Less than 16% of people finish online courses. These are video-based platforms. There's a huge rise in online education. Today in Asia, there's 90 million online students who are being sent videos, and then they have to answer questions at the end. There's going to be 160 million online students in Asia alone by 2021. Most of that growth is in K-12 education. They're simply throwing videos at these people and expecting them to come out the other end with a qualification doesn't work, and we feel a platform like Engage is perfectly tailored to those people.
So far as you're concerned, what do you see as the risks to the business model?
Well, definitely the risks is VR going to take off, as a lot of people are predicting? I truly believe it is, especially with the likes of Facebook backing it. Microsoft are in this space as well. Google are in this space, HTC. So all the leading players are actually working on hardware. So I see in the future the hardware is going to be free. So currently, as I said, it is quite expensive. But I think virtual reality and AR is going to be very similar to the mobile phone business, where you will go into a provider like Vodafone, you will sign up, and then you'll pick and choose the hardware that you want to use. Well, look, congratulations on the listing. And it's a pleasure to talk to you, David. Thanks indeed for bringing this idea along to discuss with us today. Immersive VR education. That's David Whelan, the Chief Executive.